I'm going to be 100% honest with y'all. I feel like Deadlock is the best MOBA I've ever played. Which is really surprising to hear come out my mouth because for the longest time I did not like MOBAs like at all. But a year ago I started getting bored, so I wanted to see all the hype was about for some of these MOBAs. The first one I tried was Smite, which I only played for 15 minutes and quit. Which I guess I just found it boring and too complicated. Like every other MOBA at the time. So yeah, that wasn't the best start to my journey. And then I tried Pokemon Unite, which I would just like to say I was a straight up killer in that game. I'm not gonna lie, that was probably my second favorite MOBA of all time. And it's weird because I like it for being much more simple than other MOBAs. But even though I quite like the game, it still struggled to hold my attention for long. And then there's the most recent one I tried, which is the grandfather of all MOBAs, League of Legends, which I'm very mixed on because yeah, it's probably the most complicated and hardest one to play, especially since their only movement option in this game is fucking clicking everywhere, which really tends to hurt my hands over time. And it also doesn't help that this game is not new player friendly, like at all. Like I'm so sick and tired of big burly pieces of trash jumping out of bushes and insta-killing me. At this point, trying to get into MOBAs has not been going great. But the gods and goddesses from Valve blessed me with a game that felt like it was just made for me. That game being, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail because your eyeballs were on vacation, the game is called Deadlock. Good lord, where do I even begin with a game like this? I should probably start off by telling you the full genre of Deadlock, which is a MOBA shooter. Emphasis on the shooter part. That second genre is what makes Deadlock so unique. No more of this top-down view crap like everything else. I like to be right down there in the mix of it. And one of the biggest things to help with that is the fantastic mobility. Gone are the days of you having the mobility of a bedridden grandma. Now you have the ability to feel like Spider-Man. Like, check this out. You can roll, air dash, jump out of a roll, slide, hop on a zip line, and that's just the base kit. Each character has at least one ability that gives you some form of mobility, for engaging, disengaging, or doing whatever the hell you want with it. So if I had to give it a rating on the movement system, I would give it a good old 7 out of 10. But now that we got that out the way, let's talk about how the combat is. Like I said already, this is a shooter, so aim is going to play a big part in how well you do. But I'm pretty sure that should have been common knowledge too. But besides this game being a third-person shooter, it has all the typical traits of a MOBA. You have the upgrades, you have the tower, you have the minions, you have the enemies around the map, you have the big boss in the middle. In my opinion, I feel like the biggest change they made to this game is the money system, which isn't too complicated, it just takes time to get used to. So in Deadlock, when you kill minions or you kill other players, you get money. Very simple. But the twist is, you only gain half of that money. The other half floats up in a ball and either has to be shot or just wait long enough for it to pop on its own. But the twist unfortunately being that enemies can shoot the balls as well and get half of your money. Which leads to most of the time people just sitting back waiting for you to shoot their minions so they can steal half of your money. But now going forward, I would just like to remind you that I am a very calm and nice person, okay? It takes a lot to get me mad. But I have never felt so much rage seeing people steal half of my money. Like, I low-key feel like strangling a bitch. And I'm gonna leave that uncensored too to show how tired of this I am. But luckily there is a way for you to mitigate the orb from spawning, and all you have to do is give a little smack, which will collect all the money at once. So that overall is the simplest way to explain the money system in this game. But you also gain XP from killing particular enemies in the game, and obviously you use it to upgrade your abilities. There's nothing new there. But every time you purchase an ability, you will not only receive a base increase to your health, damage, or spirit, but you will also receive the ability itself. Let's take Life Leech for example. Not only do you get the 3% health increase, you also gain the ability to steal other people's health. And with so many upgrades at your disposal, that's when builds start to come into play. In my opinion, I feel like there are 3 phases to builds. The early game, the late game, and the mid game. I set that in the complete wrong order, but who cares. The game does show you a recommended build for each character to follow if you really don't know what you're doing, but you don't have to follow it in any match. You can go to the shop and purchase any upgrade you want if you have enough money. It really is only there to just help new players. You mainly pick the upgrades you want that either synergize well with your character or synergize well with your playstyle. Me personally, I only play 3 heroes right now, being Haze, Infernus, and Wraith. And since all of them have high fire rates, lifesteal really works well with them. But with Haze, I focus more on attack power and lifesteal because her 4th ability will just shred if you have that. Like, no joke, her 4th ability is probably the most satisfying ability in this entire game. And with Infernus, you mainly want to try to get his Ricochet and Toxic Bullets upgrades, because due to him already having the ability to proc fire by himself, getting as many stats effects on enemies will lead to huge amounts of damage. Now with Wraith, you mainly want to prioritize fire rate and magazine size, and also a lot of spirit power, because I forgot to tell you all this. To tell which abilities are affected by spirit power, if you hover over them and it has a little star icon, that means they are affected by spirit power. And you mainly want spirit power because of her cards, which are so good at the best of times. And I know that was a lot to unpack, but trust me, the more you play, the more you'll start to get the hang of everything. Because trust me, when me and Ember went into our first 2 rounds, we absolutely ate shit. Like, we had no idea what any of the upgrades do, what we should go for, what we should not go for. It was just an entire mess. And we firmly and respectfully got our asses handed to us. But then all of a sudden, we started winning. Like, a lot. It's hard to explain why. It's like a flip switched inside my head, and I was finally putting everything I've learned to use. I know it might sound corny, but it's the truth. I started learning how to play my characters more, what upgrades to go for, how to coordinate with my team, and just everything. And once I felt more comfortable, I started going for bigger and bigger plays. Like, just check some of these out. I don't think we needed a tag team there, buddy, but... Oh, fire! Now, was the clip a little sloppy at the end? Yes, but I would say the payoff was way worth it. And right now, there's really nothing else I could say. This game is just legitimately amazing and probably one of my favorite things to come out of Valve in a very long time. So whenever this game becomes public, which it might already be because I suck at timing these videos, I highly recommend that you at least giving it one try. The one thing I really do want to recommend as well is do not play League.